Hi everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to see if we can rescue this old Game Boy case from ending up in the garbage. So this is what we're working with here. One thing I did notice is that even though it does close, it does not lock in place. So it doesn't stay closed is basically what it does. So maybe that's why they were going to toss this out. Looking at the foam, some stains there might be hard to clean. I'm thinking we should probably just replace the foam. Foam inserts are pretty cheap, so I gathered some materials. I'm thinking some wood and magnetic catches should do the trick to solve our closing issue. So let's measure the inside of the case. It looks like about 1.5 inches, so I'm thinking we should probably cut around 1.3 inches of wood. So let's grab our wood and let's mark it with a white erase marker. And looking at the case itself, looks like it was meant to hold the OG Game Boy as well as some games. So let's get started by cleaning the case. So we're using some water and dishwashing liquid just to get us started. Next, let's rinse it off. And then I'm just going to be using a magic eraser on the part where it opens and closes. I noticed that there was a discolored line there. So we're not going to be using the magic eraser on the logo or any of the lines or anything that's printed, because it will definitely ruin that. Let's dry it off. So I did notice the hinges. I was considering trying to remove the hinges, but it kind of sounded like it might break, so I decided not to risk it. Later though, we'll probably lubricate the hinges later once we set up our magnetic catches in wood. Now that it's mostly dry, we're going to use some isopropyl alcohol to clean it up a little bit more. Next, let's dry it off. Alright, now let's cut some wood. Let's sand off the wood a little bit. So we have about 4 pieces of wood. So there's 2 pairs of magnetic catches. So I'm just drilling a little hole to make it easier for the wood screws to go in. Brush it off a little bit and let's put in our wood screws. So I am using these 99-cent clamps from Home Depot. They're like the big ones, really useful for a lot of things. Now we are applying some super glue. So this super glue, haven't opened it first time, but just left over from another project. Oh yeah, the wood itself was about $1.98 from Home Depot. So it was like an 8-foot piece of wood. So we're gonna have a lot left over. So I did notice that my first install I had the magnetic catch upside down. So I did unscrew it and then flipped it over and fixed the issue. No big deal. So while we're waiting for it to dry, we're using these big clamps. I decided to clean up a little bit, start putting away the tools and stuff. Next, I wanted to lubricate our hinges here. Let's dry off any excess. Then we are going to prep the case for the foam. So I'm just going to be using some isopropyl alcohol, make sure everything's nice and clean. Gonna make sure everything's dry also. Now we got our foam inserts here. So my plan is just to kind of copy the original foam and then maybe add a little extra padding depending on how well it fits. Just trying to keep it simple. So I grabbed the OG foams and I was just gonna kind of try to copy it a little bit. The good thing about these foam inserts that we have, they're modular. So we can easily adjust it to our needs. So here's the second piece of foam. I'm just gonna copy it. So this is the one that goes behind the Game Boy. So after doing some fitting, I was able to fit the foam underneath. And let's put some foam on top here. So on the bottom right corner, I did try out some foam there, but it was a little tight. I felt like the Game Boy was getting squeezed too much, so I decided to remove the foam on the lower right corner. So let's put our final pieces together. Everything is removable, so we can easily adjust in the future if we need to. Let's put in some game cartridges. Overall, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm also going to put up some before and after photos later. So let's get an OG Game Boy here. And everything closes nice and tight. Let's try swinging it around. Yeah, it doesn't open. Perfect. Yeah, it's working pretty good. Turned out a lot better than I expected. And here's the final result.